What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rant, no hate. Now, today I want to talk about Gary Russell Jr. He just did a long video um, with a particular channel, with a big channel. And basically, he talked about a whole lot, but the part I want to talk about is the people that he's calling out. He's calling out Devin Haney. He's calling out, Tank Davis. Really, he's calling out Tank, and any of these guys from the 130 up to even up to 147. He said he'd go to 147 and fight. Now, he said that he said a while ago he broke Terrence Crawford's jaw. And he said that Mikey Garcia and Adrian Broner has been ducking him, and he's frustrated. He's trying to get a big fight. So it's understandable, that fighters get frustrated when they can't get the fights that they want. Like he's mentioning how, for example, Devin Haney's fighting Gamboa instead of fighting him. Now, one thing you got to look at. Gary Russell is an elite fighter. There's no doubt in that. Also, because people, like I said, they're quick to jump on the bandwagon and start saying comments based on what the fighter is saying. But you got to look at a couple of things too. Like one, he's fighting at 126. Now, he's not willing to let his title go to go up and campaign a different weight class. What sense would that make for him? Because you hold a title, you fight at 126, now you go up to what weight class? Because he's not talking about a warm-up. He's talking about going straight to that particular fight. Well, are you going to go up, though? Because they're not going to go down. And a fighter that's fighting at 147 certainly is not going to go down to 126. So, in your weight class, for what you're doing, when you call out people in other weight classes and you haven't done anything in those weight classes, you don't just get a free pass because you're dominating the division that you're in. Now, I would love to see Gary Russell fight any of those guys. But on the other side of things, right? It's just like I felt the same way about Usyk going from cruiserweight to heavyweight, and without even having a fight, he became mandatory. Like, okay, I get what you did at cruiserweight, but you done nothing at heavyweight. How do you just jump to heavyweight and skip over guys who's been fighting in that weight class and have done everything in that weight class? So, Gary Russell can't, if his expectations is that, okay, I'm calling you out, accept the fight. Okay. I don't think Tank is ducking him. I don't think Braun is ducking him. I don't think Lomachenko, Teofimo, any of those guys. I don't think any of those guys are ducking him. I don't think any of these guys are scared of each other. It's just one of these situations where a fighter is making noise. He's trying to get his name out there. He's trying to get bigger fights, and I get it. But at the same time, the way when you take that route, it make you look bitter. It make you, basically look desperate. And for people that ride with you, they're going to say, hey, yeah, they're scared of Gary Russell. People who don't really care, and then people that's in between is kind of neutral. They're just looking like, okay, who's Gary Russell? You understand what I'm saying? But he's an elite fighter, and I think that he's a good fight for any of those guys. Now, the reality is, he has a title. And he's a big fish in a small pond. That's where he's at right now. But there's other names that he can go after, and he's saying that none of these guys don't want to fight him. So, for whatever it is, I don't know how big of a draw Gary Russell's name is, because to be honest with you, as great as he is as a fighter, his name never really comes up. Unless he says something and gets in front of a camera, nobody just brings his name up. I think, like I said, man, he'd make a great fight with any of those guys. Rematch with Loma, whatever, And of course, I'm going to find out what Terrence Crawford's response was, and I'll probably post that on a different video because I got a wind of a little bit of it, but it really wasn't no big deal. But yeah, he made made a lot of statements, and he's making a lot of noise. He's trying to make noise to get some attention. You know, he's marketing himself. I get it. You know, but at that weight division, he might have to either drop his title and go up, you know, or keep talking, and then hopefully somebody says, you know what, come see me at 135, you know, come see me at 147 or whatever it may be. But until that happens, um, you know, hey, I mean, you know, he is an elite fighter. You know, he's no walkover, he's no pushover. Um, and Gary Russell, he's possible, he's capable of beating any of those guys. Now, truthfully, I'm gonna be honest with you. Me personally, I don't see him beating Devin Haney, and I don't see him beating Tank. I think he'll beat Adrian Broner, and I think he'll beat Mikey Garcia. Definitely Adrian Broner. Definitely, I think he'll beat Adrian Broner. Um, but we'll see. Hopefully, this guy can get the fights that he wants. I think that he's deserving of it. But again, you know, as far as his talent, but as far as the weight class is what I'm saying. You have to, you know, a fighter know they can look at you and say, no, he's a worthy opponent. I mean, take Devin Haney, any of those guys have to know that Gary Russell is a serious opponent. But again, you know, you can't say you're being treated wrong because you want to jump to other weight classes and think that you just earned a title shot. And you know what people got to do is this. People love to say that the fighters are ducking. I mentioned this before, but when I see fighters fighting, putting on great, you know, masterful performances and barely getting paid, you got to start putting heat on these sanctioning bodies about these fights. This is what the fighters have to do, and the fans need to, like, you know, voice their opinions. You guys, you go on these different platforms, and Mauricio Suleiman and all these other guys these guys that own sanctioning bodies. You can make your voices heard. You can speak, and you can say we don't want to see, like, for example, if you don't want to see Gamboa versus Devin Haney, now look at it this way. As a boxing fan, you'll support the fight because it's boxing. As a Devin Haney fan, you'll support it because it's Devin Haney. As a Gamboa's fan, you'll support it because it's Gamboa. But if it's just the point of saying, no, we don't want to see this fight because this is a mismatch, like what people are saying, they're already saying, we're saying, you know, when he fought Tank, that he's over the hill and Tank didn't look so good. So like I said before, they're going to compare Devin Haney's performance to Tank's performance, which does not mean that Devin will beat him because of how he beats Tank. I mean, Gamboa, if he beats him, which he should. But it doesn't mean he won't. But if people are going to start saying, too, these are a bunch of junk fights, don't support it. It's your money. It's your money. Don't sit down to your couch and tune in to watch it, even if it's on regular cable. Don't watch it. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case. Because the names that's out there, it's not. You know how you had the Hearns, Hagler, Duran, and Raylan at the same time. How you had, you know, Bo, Holyfield, Lewis, and Mora, and even though some of those guys wind up not fighting each other for whatever reason, but it's like for you to have these names, all these guys I just named, and for these fights to take so long to happen, a lot of it is star power, and a lot of it is you know, different camps saying, not right now. You know, power has no loyalty, man. Power is not something you just get. You got to go. You got to take it. Whether it's physical, whether it's mental, you know, whether it's an emotional thing. Power is something you have to go and get. It's not loyal to anybody. You can gain it and you can lose it. Okay, so in all aspects of what that word means. So when you have fighters that's like trying to get fights and they're campaigning and they're trying to get their name out there, I understand clearly what he's doing. You know, and like I said, I would love to see those fights, but at the same time, you can't just expect, you know, I know what I can do. You guys don't, but I know what I can do. Do I fucking expect to go out and call out Anthony Joshua and then all of a sudden somebody go, yo, that dude is big. Yo, I seen him fight. Yo, that guy can, I think he can beat Anthony Joshua. He can compete with him, man. That guy, And then imagine me sitting there going, oh, that motherfucker Anthony Joshua's ducking. No, the world doesn't know me, but I know what I can do. You understand what I'm saying? So you can't just expect, just because you're talking shit, that somebody's going to say, oh, you know what, let's make this fight. Now, if it works for him, hey, fine. Especially when you got guys that could be in these fights. Like, for example, let's just say if let's just say, for example, if he went up and fought Terrence Crawford, right? Okay, then guys like Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, all these other guys, Danny Garcia, they can't say shit. They can't say, oh, how he just going to come up here and get this fight. You can't say nothing because you guys already been here at 147, and for whatever reasons, these fights was not made. So what y'all need to do, fall back, let this fight take place, and then it is what it is. If you're that concerned, then put your hat in the bag and say, whoever win between Terrence Crawford and Gary Russell, I want the winner. Any one of them can do that. These fights should be happening. I mean, think about it. At 147, we already had Garcia versus Thurman. You know, we had Thurman versus Sean Porter, and we had Errol Spence versus Sean Porter. So you know, it's you know, we've had some of the fights, but it's just so much talking. And then when it comes time to actually make the fight happen, for some reason, it just doesn't happen. So I understand what Gary Russell is doing, and I think that, you know, he, like I said, he'd be a threat to any of those guys. But you know, we'll see what happens. Nothing to cry about. But I just thought it was interesting. You know, but even the claims about him breaking Terrence Crawford's jaw, you know, Bud's gonna have something to say about that. You know, Bud ain't gonna sit back and go, he's gonna have something to say. Maybe not a lot to say. You know, he probably maybe Gary Russell's clout chasing. Who knows? We don't know. You know, what is he going to say about it? I don't know, but I'm gonna look into that. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say in this video, and I will catch y'all on the next one.